We've got 4 more West Virginia transfer portal commitments, as well as a surprising departure to discuss on today's transfer portal update here on the Country Roads webcast. Let's talk about it. What's going on, Mountaineer Nation? Welcome back into the Country Roads webcast. We're providing you WVU sports content from Mountaineer fans for Mountaineer fans. Here today for our January 7th transfer portal update. As since the last time we had a chance to update this thing continues to roll out hot and heavy as we like it here during this time of the year. That's what makes us get through the off season, is the building of this roster, and we like to cover it all here on the Country Roads webcast. But since the last update we had, 4 more transfers announced their commitments to West Virginia, and a slew more of new prospects that are going to be visiting that we need to cover as well. So we'll get to all that when we cover our CRW transfer tracker. And then on the negative side, and we'll lead off with this, get this out of the way, a surprising departure that I personally didn't see coming that leaves West Virginia essentially with no returning snaps at the bandit position, and we'll cover that as well. But before we get there, just a quick reminder, if you would, if you're in here watching this, just take a second out, hit that little thumbs up button. Giving this video a like really helps a ton with that YouTube algorithm. It'll help this video find more Mountaineer football fans like yourself, and if you're one of those that hasn't yet, hit that subscribe button. That way you can stay up to date on all the transfer portal movement for West Virginia, the players they're targeting, the players that are committing. You can stay up to date with what the roster is going to look like in the lead up to the 2026 season if you stick with us here on the CRW by hitting that subscribe button, which doesn't cost you anything. But if you would like to help us out a little bit, you can hit that join button down in the video description or over on the YouTube channel homepage. Of course, you help us keep the lights on, keep this mic recording, and keep that camera rolling, but you're going to help yourself as well with a ton of bonus WVU sports content, behind the scenes content, members only streams, custom WVU football helmet patches, ton of fun stuff there if you become our channel members, and we appreciate our channel members for their support here of the Country Roads webcast. And with that out of the way, let's get into this January 7th transfer portal update. All right, so as I said, we will lead off with the departure, which to me was surprising because this was going to be a really key cog, I think, in West Virginia's defense next season. I think he would obviously going to be a starter at the bandit position when we go over what West Virginia has returning now, which is pretty much no snaps there. He was definitely going to be the guy there, and he was versatile this year, played running back for us late this season as well, and then, of course, being a West Virginia native. And so, surprisingly, knowing that no one is returning their snap count-wise, Curtis Jones decides to hit the portal. Reasons unknown. Of course, there's a lot of speculation out there. That is, what it is. And honestly, it doesn't really matter because it doesn't change it. He's in the portal regardless. But his statement here on the screen, if you'd like to read through it there, entering the portal with 2 years of eligibility remaining. So we will update the transfers out list of the CRW tracker, as we will be updating all 3 sections of the transfer tracker here: the transfers out, the transfers in list, and of course, we'll update you guys on the visitors as well. But we add Bandit Curtis Jones Jr. here to the list, which I'll scroll through for you guys on the video side if you want to take a look at it. You guys listen on the audio side. If you want to see the full list, you'll just have to come over and check out the video version on the YouTube channel. But lengthy list here of transfers out for West Virginia, now culminated with Curtis Jones Jr. at the bandit spot, which is surprising when we take a look at the bandit snap counts returning for West Virginia. From this previous season, this is the total snap counts that were played. I did this piece on Blue Gold Sports highlighting that. At the bandit position, you can see Braden Siders and Devin Grant were the 2 guys that mainly played at either defensive end or bandit, on the edge. Both of those guys graduated. Eddie Kelly would play there some. He's gone due to graduation. And then you had Curtis Jones, of course, who played there a lot, 253 snaps. Jamori Robinson, who's now graduated, 235 snaps. And then Marshawn Oxley, who just recently hit the portal in his own right. So now no one returning at the bandit position that played even close to 100 snaps. No one returning at the bandit position that played 50 snaps. Adam Tomczyk, also in the portal. Omatosho, I believe he's gone. I think he was a senior. Beiser's gone. Other than that, you have those are your defensive linemen there on the list with Wilner Chantel, Caesar, and Taylor Brown. Those were defensive ends more than bandit as I group those together here in this article that I wrote. But you can see essentially no snaps returning at the bandit position now. West Virginia needs to rebuild that. Well, how about someone that's coming in as a commitment that could fill right in there as a bandit? As we may as well lead off our transfer commitments talking about David Afogo then, who I think could fit into that bandit spot at West Virginia, coming from Bowling Green, where, some sites list him as an edge rusher, a defensive end, some list him as a linebacker, which to me, that's perfect for that bandit spot that he could potentially play at WVU. So David Afogo coming in, I think, is a good pickup for the Mountaineers. especially considering it's a definite position of need now that West Virginia needed to fill. So good to get someone in there in a hurry, and I'm sure we'll see some more players that can fit that profile coming through the portal in the near future. And then West Virginia also secured a commitment from linebacker Malachi Hood from Illinois, another Big Ten transfer. West Virginia going to get another power conference transfer. You guys wanted some of those. We're starting to see several of those come in. And when you see the visit list, I think you'll see some more names there that'll really excite you. But Malachi Hood spent the season at Illinois where he even started some games, and the stat line not too shabby there. 44 tackles, 2.5 tackles for a loss, 1.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble, and 1 fumble recovery for Malachi Hood as he commits to the Mountaineers. Nice graphic there, courtesy of College Football Dude there on social media. You guys give him a follow on X. And he wasn't the only linebacker to commit to the Mountaineers. How about getting Tyler Stolsky as well, which, how's this for a commitment announcement? You guys are going to like this one. His commitment announcement, last ride, got the mountain emoji, hashtag FPIT. That's what he puts in his commitment announcement. That'll make him a fan favorite right off the bat. Plus, he just looks like a hard-edge player. If you see pictures of him, I'm sure you've seen the one of him at FAU on the thumbnail. He wears like a neck roll, and he had 90-plus tackles. So one of those classic linebackers that's going to be all over the field and probably rack up a ton of tackles for the Mountaineers. As you see his commitment graphic there that he put out, originally a native of the state of Michigan. He's got a picture there with him and Rich Rod from his visit as well. And then some pictures of him in the uniform there, which we can see and get a first look at. Love the coal mine background pictures there as well. And, of course, you guys know I love the gold, so seeing the all gold's always nice.
I love gold.
And then the last commitment to talk about, but certainly not least, quite frankly, this is probably my favorite of the commits. I think this is the best transfer West Virginia's picked up outside of Cam Cook thus far in the portal. And this is a big one, as you see on 3 transfer portal sharing here on Twitter. Memphis transfer safety Kamari Wilson committing to West Virginia. And we see the graphic there, which at Memphis, he really stuffed the stat sheet there. He picked up 84 tackles, 6.5 TFLs, 2 picks, 2 forced fumbles, and a sack. And this is a player that's going to be an instant starter on defense. And not only did he play at Memphis, you may notice on the thumbnail someone that played for the Florida Gators. That was Kamari Wilson. That's where he began his career. And take a look at this just to ride home how good of a player West Virginia just got in Kamari Wilson. Look how highly regarded he was coming out of high school, which shouldn't be much of a surprise considering you end up at Florida. But take a look here just to ride it home. 96 graded 4-star, number 9 safety in the country, number 9 player in the state of Florida. So a top 10 player in the state of Florida. We know how good it is there. A top 10 safety in the country and a top 75 player in the entire country in the recruiting class that he was in a few years ago when he ended up at Florida. Then went to Memphis. 80-plus tackles at safety last season, now coming to West Virginia where I think he'll be an instant starter on defense in 2026. Huge commitment there for West Virginia. I like all 4 of these guys. Super excited about Kamari Wilson. Like I said, one of my favorites of the transfers in yet for West Virginia, but we have these 4 names to add, so let's update that transfer in list and take a look at it here on our January 7th update. All right, and as we take a look at our transfer in list here on today's portal update, we can add 4 more names to the list here with linebacker Malachi Hood out of Illinois, edge David Afogo out of Bowling Green, linebacker Tyler Stolsky out of FAU, defensive back Kamari Wilson out of Memphis there. Super exciting to add all those prospects, and this list continues to grow and continues to impress the further along that it develops here as those names join the list that we had here previously on the channel. Be sure to check out our portal update series. I'll try and put a card in the video for that right here if you haven't had a chance to check that out. Check out our updates where we discussed all these other transfer ins when they committed to the Mountaineers as well. But one more section of the CRW transfer tracker to update, and that's the visit section, because West Virginia does have some new names to be added, and one of these should really excite you guys. You guys have been asking for one thing in the portal. Where are the offensive linemen? Here is one. Cameron Griffin from Jack State, putting out on social media, super excited to be here in West Virginia. There he was inside the stadium on his visit yesterday, so maybe some positive news there. We did get the Jack State running back in Cam Cook. We, of course, have the Jack State offensive line coach in Rick Trickett who came home, so maybe that leads us to positive news on Cameron Griffin. And then we have defensive back Jatavion Pierce from Oklahoma State, who put out he would be visiting WVU football yesterday, so he's probably on campus going through a visit now as we speak, or as I record this anyways. Jatavion Pierce, a defensive back from Oklahoma State, multiple years of eligibility remaining, would be a great pickup as West Virginia has to build that secondary. And then we'll have Rice linebacker Ty Morris added to the list, as Skylar Callahan shared on social media that he will take a visit to WVU January 8th, so he should be on campus tomorrow. 50-plus tackles, 2.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles at Rice linebacker this past season. And then yet again, as I tend to do, save the best for last, I think, here in my opinion. This is that power conference transfer I was talking about that you guys would probably be excited for, and that's LSU true freshman Teron Francis, who's visiting West Virginia today. Supposed to follow that up with a trip to Iowa State, but with him making it to Morgantown, what's that mean? He's on commitment watch. Would love to lock him down and him not make that trip to Iowa State. That's what we did with Cam Cook. He didn't make his visit to Tennessee, so you never know. But the 6'1", 207-pound Francis was a top 200 prospect and a top 20 receiver in the 2025 class, someone with multiple years of eligibility left yet again. This would be a big pickup, as you see the picture of him there on the screen. And he does have a connection here. John Hollywood Johnson, the quarterback West Virginia just brought in from Edna Carr, and they also brought in Greg Wilford from there. He's from that same high school in Edna Carr there in Louisiana, so maybe that connection helps him having played with John Johnson in the past. And with that, we can now update our visit list here, considering what we know. Like we said, sometimes they sneak guys in purposefully so that it's not reported and they can get some bigger commitments. They've done that a few times here. Kamari Wilson, Cam Cook wasn't known until last hour there. Then people started reporting it. But we can remove Tyler Stolsky from our list, as he is now committed to the Mountaineers. And of course, we've added the new names that we just highlighted there with Cameron Griffin, Jatavian Pierce, Ty Morris, and Teron Francis, which are all very exciting. You know me, I'm always an optimistic person, but I really like the prospects that West Virginia is getting to come in now. I like all the latest commitments that they have, and I think things are looking up for West Virginia in this transfer portal cycle. But that's just my feeling about it. Would love to hear your opinion on how West Virginia is doing thus far in this transfer portal period, whether it's the transfers in, whether it's the guys they're getting in on visits. Anything you got there, drop it in the comment section. Always appreciate those interactions as we continue to try and grow the CRW community throughout Mountaineer Nation. Having said that, as always, I'm Jordan Cruz, and until next time, let's go Mountaineers.